Yeah, speaking of that too, to circle back into the draft and what you're seeing at the combine, like let's talk about some potential prospects the Bills may have their eyes on, or even if you think the Bills should have their eyes on. Because one name that comes to mind, and shout out Josh Duke Clark, he's a friend of the show. He's starting his sports podcast back up. He actually had,
Hey,
he wanted me to ask you about this guy specifically. So defensive tackle out of Michigan, Kenneth Grant. How are we feeling about Kenneth Grant potentially?
It makes a lot of sense. Obviously, I've seen a lot of people have him speculated to go just before the Bills or around that space. I always joke all the time, like anytime you mock someone to the Bills, you'll get 5 people reply, like, "There's no way he's going to be there at that spot." And I have literally, I could copy and paste the reply. There is nothing we are more consistently wrong about than who is going to go where in the draft. Every single year, we have no idea. We're wrong every year. The best guys peg like 6 first-round picks in the right spot. We have no idea. We have a range, but there's guys who fall crazy. We're like, oh my God, why is this guy still on the board? Because we're not good at this. Because we don't know what we think we know. Because you use one mock draft simulator and you think you know where everyone's going to go, and you're wrong.
you knew Michael Penix was going to be a Falcon last year.
Obviously, of course.
Came out and told us. You told
Of course.
us the Bills were going to get a receiver. Maybe you saw
Obviously.
Xavier Legette, but I heard Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
So there are plenty that we guess right and get in the right range, but there's guys all the time that fall different places. Kenneth Grant's one of those guys. There are some people who swear he's going to be a top 10 to 15 pick. I do think he goes in the top 40 picks. I think he's too big and athletic to go beyond there. But could he be there at pick 30? Absolutely. I do think that should be our priority. I have it as a slight notch above cornerback. I think there are more like survivable cornerbacks available in free agency. Not guys I would love, but if we have to do a 4th-round pick instead of one of our top 2 picks, I think it's feasible that can happen. News just broke again. Stephon Diggs just signed with the Patriots. Yeah, every time you guys invite me on, news breaks. I gotta come on more often.
I know you got to come on every week. Holy hell.
So at cornerback, there are guys that I don't want long term, but if the worst case scenario is we have to have a 1-year band-aid of a Stephon Gilmore or a Rasul Douglas or at a higher end in Asante Samuel Jr., but we need to make it work, plus a late 2nd-round developmental guy and a 4th-round pick, and we just kind of have to band-aid it together. There are more of those options available than there are impact defensive tackles. Impact defensive tackles, one, don't make it to free agency, and if they do, they get scooped up quick. So I want those to be our first 2 picks. I don't particularly care which order, but if I had to pick, I'm taking the defensive tackle first. So Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant. The one that I love is Derek Harmon. Dude, Derek Harmon moves so crazy for being as big as he is. It's not fair to him because this is just a super unfair comparison, but he moves like Chris Jones. Like he's like a guy that big shouldn't be that quick and explosive and powerful. That's the kind of guy that I want to get. There's also some guys even at that 2nd-round pick, like Talik Williams out of Ohio State or CJ West out of Indiana, just some super explosive athletic guys that, that was what I was focused on, is watching them in the drills and watching them in the athletic testing and the different pieces, and that just watching guys like, God, how is somebody that's 318 pounds moving that way? It's insane to watch some of these guys.
It feels like they get more athletic and faster as each season.
Every year. It's wild.